So I am Brice Prunas. So I am the lead portfolio manager of Oddo BHF Artificial Intelligence. I have been working in the capital market for more than 20 years. I started my career back in 1999 as a technology financial analyst. And since then, I have constantly stayed on capital markets around technology. So now I'm very happy to manage that fund on artificial intelligence.
It's very interesting that you've been working in technology almost all your career.
Yep.
And now you are getting to artificial intelligence, which is a very, let's say, hot topic. So can you tell us a little bit before going into the fun specifics, why is artificial intelligence so important? Why it matters so much? And actually, where can we see, or how are we surrounded by already by artificial intelligence?
Yeah, so first of all, a global picture that for us, artificial intelligence is a silent revolution that is going to affect basically every sector of the economy at various degrees. Artificial intelligence for us is like a mega trend that encompasses machine learning, deep learning, cognitive computing, big data, robotics. So as I said, I have been working as a technology analyst for the past 20 years. So that means that I saw internet coming back in the late 90s and in the early 2000s. And I can tell you that what we are going to see with AI is much more transformational than what we have seen with internet. It's going to be a secular shift, and we are just in the early innings of it. So in terms of transformation of the business model, you can think about any kind of businesses. Artificial intelligence somehow will have an impact.
Amazing. And Brice, your fund is very special because you invest in artificial intelligence with artificial intelligence. Can you tell us a little bit more about this process?
Yes, sure. So in fact, it was really a vision from the top management of the firm. They got an intuition that then became a certainty that at some point we needed to introduce in the investment process of a fund what we call the unstructured data. What is an unstructured data? Is the data that cannot be put in a database. So in that instance, we talk about semantic word, about sentiment, about trend. And as these unstructured data are 80% of the data of the world, that was crucial for us to introduce them. So you're right, we invest on artificial intelligence, but the first step of the investment process is based on machine learning algorithms that basically help us to incorporate unstructured data in our investment process, and in other words, to filter 4,600 companies into the best 300 companies of artificial intelligence in the world, whatever the sector, whatever the continent, and whatever the market size, starting $500 million US. So what is interesting maybe is it is a new way to invest, and consider that machine learning algorithms bring more information to the management team than what maybe 20 buy-side analysts in the planet would bring. Because if you are a buy-side analyst based in Hong Kong, you will be able to analyze very well 120 companies. So you multiply by 20 analysts in the world and you have 2,400 companies. Here, our investment universe is 4,600. But what is very important is that it is artificial intelligence. Machine learning algorithms are just on step one, but then we use other tools like a quantitative model for financial data. And of course, human is everywhere. After there is a human sanity check in the step 3, but human is also checking the structure data of the quant model, and human is also on the step one with algorithm. I'm sure you know that as well as me, that an algorithm will be as good as the data you provided are accurate. So my job also as a fund manager 2.0 is to make sure that we have the right keywords, that we'll find the right companies, and that the investment thesis of the fund is going to the right direction. So I think you wanted to know also if we had like a kind of sanity check from algorithm and how this sanity check was done. And I can tell you that the sanity check is done both automatically, very well processed by algorithm, but also with the human thought.
And with this kind of investment process, how is the portfolio resulting the outcome of all this process?
Sure. So you have a portfolio today that is made of 60 companies, so 60 on every sector. It is not a global technology fund. It is 50% technology, but 50% of all the other sector. And one of these sectors is very interesting for us is healthcare. It's a prevalent sector. So every sector, every continent, with Europe being the less represented continent on artificial intelligence, we can both regret that, but it's a matter of fact. US prevalent and Asia 25%. Every kind of companies, and sometimes we have a capacity thanks to this machine algorithm tools to find small companies far from us in China, in Japan, in US. And I would say what really makes our DNA is the capacity to go down in a level of granularity of every sector. And for example, we invested in oligopolies that are very niche market. Let me give you some example. We have been invested in the 2 companies that make the semi-testing, the testing of the ultra. One was in Japan, one was in the US. We have been invested in the only 2 companies that treat cancer with radiotherapy. One was a Swedish company, one was a US company. And sometimes we can be on very, very niche business. Sometimes one company does that. And this is what we like, because this is the concept of competitive modes. High entry barriers means high return on capital employed and a long-term competitive advantage.
Very interesting. And given that you use this very novel and innovative process using artificial intelligence to manage artificial intelligence, I mean, how do you review your investment process? Do you review the algorithm, or do you update it, or has the algorithm the capacity to learn? I don't know.
That's a very interesting question. So on the first part of your question, you have to consider that the algorithm are the first part. They are like in a football team, they are the attack players. They find IDs. But then you have a second safety net, which is a quantitative multi-factor model that is in-house, that has 10-year track record to introduce the financial data. So these are the defense players in the team. Then you have a third safety net, which is like the goalkeeper. It's a human PM that are checking each of the company before we invest it to check if this company is really relevant with artificial intelligence, check at ESG factors, we check at major capitalistic operations that could have happened in the company and that could have twisted the analyst of the previous filters. So we check a lot of things. And then there is a constant, I would say, risk management, companies by companies on a daily basis. We follow earnings, we follow news flow, and we want to make sure in case of major event happening that could change the investment thesis, that could endanger the reputation of the company, we can sell the company basically. So you see, we use very modern tools, machine learning algorithm, proven quantitative model, but the fund manager 2.0 is absolutely everywhere, even in the most process and automated phases of the investment process.
Interesting. I mean, artificial intelligence obviously is considered a technology investment. And well, if you see the NASDAQ right now, we can see that it is not stopping, or it appears that it's never stopping. And its trajectory compared with the rest of with other segments of the market, in general technology, it's amazing. Do you think that technology in general is expensive, or do you see that the valuations are justified? Because I mean, there are stocks that are growing.
So let me start with some prepared remarks on your question, and then I will go segment by segment in technology, because every segment needs a different answer. So my prepared remarks is one: technology today is 35% of the S&P 500, 35% of the US equity market, basically. It's record high. Second record high level is 5 companies are 20% of the S&P 500. I'm sure you would guess which one: Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, Google, and Amazon. Unprecedented level. The third thing I would like to tell you is that in H1 20, during this semester, due to the COVID crisis and the resulting shelter in place, we have been in a period where basically we have got a pull forward of digitalization. In the course of 2 months of shelter in place, lockdown, we have made 2 years of digitalization. This is what Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, was saying. During these 2 months, e-commerce has grown 45% year over year instead of 10% year over year since 2004. Our kids, instead of going to physical classes, have followed online education on Zoom. Things we used to buy in stores, we are obliged to buy online. So you see, this period, for me, is comparable to what happened 20 years before at the internet bubble. It's a period where basically we have evidence that technology is going fast, that technology is going to eat the world and maybe change the world. And on top of that, capital markets, they tend to extrapolate that trend. So in fact, that results in a major dislocation between technology stocks and the rest of the market. But after being 20 years on capital market on technology, I can tell you that after that period, this is almost compulsory that there is a mean reversal, because we have probably been far. It is true, but it's extrapolated. So that was the general answer I would like to bring. Now, if I come to the topic of valuation, within technology, there are many differences. Let me take you some examples. There is an area where I am quite concerned by current level is probably the US cloud software. These small, most innovative software companies in the US that today have valuation between 20 times sales and 50 times sales for Zoom communication. Zoom is listed. At some point, the valuation, the market cap of Zoom was much bigger than the 7 biggest airlines in the world.
Wow.
What does it mean? What does it mean, a company that has a 20 or 25 times sales valuation? That means that if you buy this company today and you have an expected return of 15% per annum on this company, you need to see this company growing 35% every year during long time, during 10, 15 years, and you need to see at the same time margin expansion. After looking at technology during 20 years, I can tell you that very few companies are going to post such a record. So if there is a disappointment at any time next year, in 2 years, the stock will go down sharply. So US software is an area where probably valuations are too expensive today. Now let me take you a total different example. US IT hardware. these stocks that are treating like 15 times earnings, 16 times earnings, in line with the S&P, sometimes below. Why? Because the growth is lower, because the growth is more cyclical. But if you find companies today within IT hardware with a good management and with an attractive valuation and maybe a trend that people did not see, like a bit of growth, you can find very good ideas. So these are the two opposites. And in between these two opposites, US cloud software and US IT hardware, there are things that are more or less interesting. Like, for example, we like very much semiconductor because semiconductor is the revolution, is the vector that is going to use the data for artificial intelligence. Semiconductor has also a new life with 5G, on radio frequency stock, for example, on automotive. The content in a car is tripling between a simple car and an automotive car or an electric car. IoT in your daily life, I think you wanted to know about that as well. So semiconductor US, there are some ideas that can be interesting, like for example, radio frequency stocks today are pulled forward by 5G. And then the US software that is not cloud, you can find like, I don't know, firewall cyber security companies or some more traditional software that are at 25, 30 times earnings. That is a level of valuation that is consistent with the earning growth, so that can be attractive. So really, if I have to sum up all that, I would say that we have to, in technology valuation today, it's time for stock picking. It's not time for buying blindly the whole technology. We have to be more selective at this time of the cycle, because without making a kind of forecast or a crystal ball, I would not be surprised to see some reversal in the next 12 months on technology from where we are today. And that's the reason why we have a fund today that has just 50% technology. We are exposed also to other sectors because we know that diversification matters, and we have found very good performer in healthcare, for example.
Mm-hmm. And tell us a little bit more about how your portfolio has performed during this crisis period, which I assume must have been a very intense moment for any asset manager, but maybe more extreme for technology managers, since I mean the second part, the rebound, has been pretty significant.
Yes, thank you for asking. So first matter of pride is that the fund is positive year to date. We are at +2, and there are not so many funds positive year to date in absolute. The second thing is that we have an outperformance today versus MSCI World, which is our benchmark, which is the global stock market, of 7 points. In the course of less than 6 months, we have generated 7-point outperformance. And touching based on your question, one of the areas of pride is that this 7-point outperformance, more than 3 points have been made between 19 Feb, that can be described at the beginning of the financial crisis, the terrible market crash we got this year, to end of April. That can be regarded as the time where things were slightly to be better. So one of the interests of this fund in this category, something that makes maybe this fund a bit different, is that it tends to have a even better outperformance in tough times than in easy times. Why? Because we have 60 stocks, equal weight on 12 sectors, on 3 continents, all caps. And what matters for us is more than the performance, is the quality of the performance. So for example, we have an information ratio since inception that is of 1. An information ratio over the past 12 months that is 1.8. That means that the outperformance, this is the relationship between outperformance and our tracking error. So that's something we pay attention to as well.
So you've mentioned a few, but what characteristics would you say that makes your fund different from another fund investing in artificial intelligence, apart from the process, logically?
Sure. So what makes us different in terms of outcome of the portfolio you remember what I said? 5 companies are representing 20% of the US equity market, the fund. These 5 companies in the portfolio, first of all, we don't have them all, and we just have 6% of this. So we are underweight on the companies that are overweight everywhere. Offset to that, we tend to have small and mid-cap companies that are positioned on niche market. You remember what I said? 2 companies doing the semi-testing, 2 companies doing the cancer treatment by oncology, by radiotherapy, sorry. So we like being out of the business, of the beaten tracks. For example, in that fund, you can find 90%, 90 active share. That means that we have 90% of the stocks that are not in the benchmark. That's the reason why we have a tracking error between 4 and 6 as well. So we found companies really literally of every side, and sometimes very far from us, we got one Russian company, several Chinese companies, as long as you can find really pure play of artificial intelligence, of the derivatives.
And I'm curious about what you're mentioning about geographical allocation. Do you find that the fund and the process find more artificial intelligence in certain regional areas, or it's spread around the globe?
We have to say that there are some countries that are leading the debate in terms of artificial intelligence. So let me give you some colors. First of all, in terms of pure business model of artificial intelligence, China is clearly leading the debates. US, of course, is leading the debate in terms of technology, in terms of semiconductors, that is the vector or semiconductor equipment that are the tools to do AI. US is leading the debate on internet as well, excluding Baba and Tencent, but so machine learning can have very interesting application in internet, so you will find US there. Japan is leading the debate in terms of robots, factory automation, so we can find ideas there. Japan is also competing as well with Korea on semiconductors sometimes. And Europe can lead the debate on some sectors of pharmaceuticals, along with US, of course. Europe can also find very good semiconductors companies. ST Micro, ASML are worldwide leader in this space. So this is how we can find in emerging market one very interesting Russian company, like for example, Yandex is probably a company in Russia that can really compete with Google in a certain extent, or that is better than Baidu in China. So we can find ideas everywhere, but it's true that there are areas of domination.
And one final question: has this crisis changed somehow or impacted somehow the fund, or how you manage the fund, or it has highlighted your ideas about the importance of artificial intelligence?
What we try to do is to have a very well-processed fund, and the process needs to be constant and consistent. So the crisis honestly has not changed the process, but maybe the crisis has underlined even more the need to have human sanity check, human management risk, and to be more and more critical about the data we use, be it an unstructured data on step 1 or a structured data in step 2. It was kind of alerting time. And what we try to do, even if the process always stay constant, is we always want to improve each step of the process and the quality of the data we use. For example, the race for finding the most innovative companies in the world around AI is never ended. You always find, when analyzing, when attending a conference, reading research, you can always find a very innovative company somewhere in the world that we do not yet capture. So we are always improving.
That's good. Thank you very much, Brice Prunas, for letting us know more about this artificial intelligence intelligence fund in Oddo BHF Asset Management. And we wish you luck, and we hope to hear from you again so you can tell us more about how this fund and its ideas are evolving. So thank you very much.
Thanks to you for your interest and your very good question. I appreciate.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.